So here's the thing. There's always been this idea that women are naturally hypergamous, and they have been doing hypergamy, which is dating and marrying upwards or marrying up for money from the beginning of time, right? And it's often been assumed that this is who women are. Women will always be like this, and all women are like this. You see a lot of memes, you see a lot of guys in the red pill, the black pill, whatever other pills there are, talking about these ideas about women, right? And hypergamy. And also it triggers our fear as men that we're not good enough, right? If we're not attractive, we don't have money, right? And I'm here to bust this myth, right? There's a lovely bit of research I'm going to get into today to show you why this isn't true, why women are not hypergamous by nature. And actually, as society shifts and changes, what it is that women are going to look for. Women are already looking for, right? I see this in my coaching work. I see this with my clients, the hundreds of men that I've coached. I see it with the women that I coach. I see it with the women that also coach as well. What is it women are really, really looking for, especially high quality women, right? I don't like the high value idea, but high quality women are actually looking for, because ideally that's what you're looking for, right? If you're listening to this, you're looking for a high quality woman. You're not just looking for a pretty woman who's 19 years old, right? Like you're a man of some stature and some maturity, and you're looking to create a relationship of meaning. And that's not the only thing you're looking for, is just to be validated by someone's looked. So what am I going to cover, right? I'm going to tell you what hypergamy really means, right? Because there's a lot of mean versions about it. I'm going to tell you about this study that reveals what it reveals about attraction and money, right? And the links between that and how they did some of that bits and pieces. I'm going to tell you about a fact that why high earning women, right, are not struggling to find partners, right? This is something that a lot of women say. High earning women are struggling to find partners. They're not. There's evidence that that's not true. And how a more equal society, which we are trending towards, I know it doesn't feel like this right now in the world, but in general, over the last 100 years, we've been trending towards, especially in the Western world, more equal societies, right? Financially. Women are doing so well. They're doing fantastic at getting degrees. They're getting better jobs. Women under 24, I think in the UK, are out earning men at the same bracket. And I think it's the same in the US in various cities and so forth. So let's start with hypergamy, right? The story we've been told, right, is that women prefer men with resources. And really what we've been told is women want men with money, right? Now, this isn't necessarily controversial because there's various long-running studies that went across multiple countries and started to and saw this and proved this, that women are attracted to men with resources. That's one of the things, right? Humor and kindness, I think, is the top two things, and the third one is resources. Now, I'm not trying to deny that that's also part of it, right? But there's nuance to this, because often what we do is go, all women just want men with money. And what that does is that triggers this inferiority we have as men. Most of us don't make the money we want to. We're not making 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever it is that we think women want, because, you know, I had a question here. Do women really care beyond a certain point how much man earns? You know, is like, I don't know, £50,000 enough in the UK to have resources? Like, it's another question. That's another question for another time, right? But a lot of what this is based on, women looking for men resources, is based on the fact that our world has been deeply unequal for so long, right? So if you're a woman and you're going to get married, you're looking for a man, and you can't earn money because legally you can't. You know, if you go back not too long ago, right, women literally legally couldn't work or earn as much as a man could, or you can't own property, or you can't have a bank account, then you need a man's resources just so you can survive. And those days are done. Women can go and have bank accounts, earn more money. Dude, most of you listen to this, there's women you're dating, they're earning more money than you. I met women when I dated who earned more money than me, and I loved it. It was great. It's a massive it's a beautiful advantage to have, right? So, but like I said, the environment has changed, right? Our world is changing. If you're listening to this from a Western country, it's changing drastically, yeah? Because of the access women are having, and also the fact that women are smart and they work hard and they're getting good degrees and so forth. So there's a study. I'm not going to try and tell the name of the study, but there's a study that recently literally came out this year, and I watched a video about it last night and was quite like blown away by it. I'll try and put the link to the video in below. And they started with a really simple but powerful question. Are our preferences fixed, meaning the things we're attracted to, you know, our dating preferences, are they fixed or are they adaptive? Yeah, because what we're told so often is that our women want to date up men with money, right? And that's it, as if it's fixed. And what they found was It's not fixed. Men's preferences and women's preferences were not fixed. And they were really very disruptive. They really found when people were poorer, right? Men and women were poorer. They cared more about their partner's money. Yeah. And when people had resources, those preferences shifted to other things. Yeah. So when women earned more money than men, there was no evidence of hypergamy. It was gone. Because ultimately, for those women inside the study, it was I think it's like a virtual reality study. They no longer had to worry about safety and security and financial security and so forth because they had that. So suddenly they started looking for other things. So what does this mean? Women are not hypergamous by nature, right? It's an adaptive strategy in a world that's been unsafe and unequal for them. Right? And as much as you might say women, the world is very equal, women are taking over, whatever you might think, it's still BS in this world, right? Just look at the rape statistics and the sexual assault statistics. If things were even, women would feel as safe as men to walk down the street and go for a run in the evening or the morning or wherever, right? You can still see gender pay gaps at various aspects of that. There's still a motherhood tax, that you pay the rest of your life. Child rearing still leans towards women, right? And that's not because they're better at it. There's no evidence of that either, right? So what I'm saying here is that, as I said, women aren't blindly hypergamous, right? By nature, right? It's not that simple. Unfortunately, it's more nuanced than that, right? Because like I said, it's about security. If you are a woman and you are growing up in rural Kenya, right? You don't have access to work because of the deeply inequality in the society, right? That starts to lessen massively when you move to Western countries like the UK and the US, right? But even then, it could be a woman who comes from nothing, right? I grew up in a council estate and I definitely saw people wanting to be with people with resources. Whereas when I speak to the women that I met when I was dating, right? And the women that I coach with also, these are women who are like middle class women. Yeah, they came into the world in good families. They know how to use money. They've got good degrees. They've got good education. They've got good jobs. They are less focused on what a man earns. And so many men struggle with this because we're often bombarded with these images of these OnlyFans girls on the Fresh and Fit podcast, where Myron asks them what they want and they say, 6 figures and so forth, and then he belittles them because of it, and we burn that into our psyche like that's the truth. But it's not. That's just a really small subset. And most of those women, if you ask them about their background, they probably come back from disadvantaged backgrounds and they had instability and so forth. So that's why they're focused on it. But if you're moving in a different circle of women with intellect, women with intelligence, women with ability to earn for themselves and security, those things no longer become important. And let me tell you about another statistic to back this up. There's a stat around, it comes from a couple of studies, that the highest earning 20% of women, right, are actually getting more married year on year in comparison to lower income women, right? Because the idea, a lot of women say this out loud on Instagram and so forth, like, it's so hard to be a woman who's earning high, like you can't meet anybody, blah, blah, blah. But the statistics say something else, right? The statistics say something else I think is really important, right? And this doesn't mean that as men, we can just completely forget about earning. Yeah. I don't think that's useful for us. I think we should also have the agency to create our lives as we want them to be as well. I think sometimes as men, we focused on money so much and we have these like inflated ideas of what we need. I often ask men how much money they think they need before they want to have a kid. And men have said to me, like, I want to have £1 million in the bank, 2 million in the bank, which is ludicrous because you don't need that sort of money, right? It's a substitute for a lack of self-worth or feeling good enough or to buffer against being actually ready, right? And again, that's a whole different conversation. Because in this day and age, if you have two people and, the two of you are earning 70, 50, 60, 70K each, for example, you can live a comfortable life. So men, you don't need to be a millionaire. You don't need to like own 100 properties or whatever it may be. You just find a decent career, right? Which goes against a lot of what the man box tells you, not the man box, the manosphere tells you, right? Most of the wealthiest people I know, at least 50% of the wealthiest people I know, they got jobs. They just got very good jobs. Yeah. So So what's the benefit for men? This is important, because the hidden benefit becomes is that when, as a society, we stop judging men or dating quality around money and status, which is already happening. Yeah, it's already happening. You can ignore it, but it's already happening. Then it starts to shift to things like emotional intelligence, presence, leadership, connection, capabilities around parenthood. Yeah, becomes about the different things that you cannot show off that start to become important. And I think this is something that a lot of men just really struggle to listen to and hear, because they think they're emotionally intelligent and then they're not. I see this all the time. And they think they're like, I'm a really good man. And then really their communication is poor. They struggle in connection. They're reactive. Yeah. They're defensive, all these sorts of things. And then they wonder why their dating lives aren't progressing. And I see this so often. Men come to me like, I don't know why I'm struggling in dating. And then I sit and listen to them talk, and I'm like, okay, you're so afraid of rejection, you don't express yourself. So the women that meet you feel you as really dull and boring. Can you see that? And they're like, yeah. And then when you actually do take a risk to meet someone, you're so afraid of rejection, you project rejection and you bail before you've even had a chance to create connection. Oh, do you also see that because you're so have so much sexual shame, you don't assert yourself in actually creating chemistry with a woman? Yeah, because these skills I've just mentioned there, they are valuable currencies in this world now. And I see this time and time again with my clients, right? Time and time again. Most of my clients are men of means, and the money starts to become a bit meaningless, right, to the women that meet them. So the truth becomes that the things that really become important are the stuff that you can't always demonstrate on an Instagram reel, or the things you can't demonstrate for a dating profile, but they are felt skills that you must cultivate internally, right? That are often the things that we're told as men are not of value. And this is why so many men are struggling in dating, is because the internal narrative they have is that the things that actually make a difference, they don't put any value on them. And the things that are making less of a difference in society, right, they're putting a lot of value on, because it feeds into their insecurity about who they are. So I'm proposing this new skill set, which I've been proposing for the last 7 or 8 years, right? Emotional capacity, ability to hold tension, hold conflict, nervous system regulation, communication, sexual confidence, and ability to create chemistry and sexual moments, like integrity, direction in your life. All these things, they don't require you to be a millionaire to be. They require you to put some energy and effort into those things, right? And to start shifting your mindset. Because if you have the mindset of like, women are fixed in this hypergamous world, you're going to meet really good women and they're going to meet you and think you're an absolute dick. And I'm sure that's what you're finding. And then you think, oh, she didn't want to date me because I didn't make enough money, or I wasn't tall enough, or I wasn't whatever it is. Yeah. Because ultimately, when it comes to looks, I always say this, every man came to us to a 7. You don't need to be doing no looks maxing madness. Learn to dress well. Yeah. Go to the gym. Look after your skin. Get a haircut that looks good on your face. Simple things you can rectify in 6 months, So here's the thing. These are the new currencies of relationship. Yeah. I'm not saying that you should just abandon your career. Yeah, not think about money, but you don't need as much as you think you do. So many men are trapped in this idea of needing millions and billions to be attractive. I meet millionaires who come and work with me all the time, and they're facing the same rejection that broke guys are experiencing. Because really what it comes down to is the ability to create stability, emotional stability, mental stability with a woman you're with, to have capacity to hold intensity, whether that's sexual energy, whether that's conflict energy, communication, groundedness, yeah, humor, fun, playfulness, social awareness, emotional attunement. These things are what's really important, is really going to make a difference to you, right? Because ultimately, even if you do earn loads of money, you're going to meet women, and then once they've dated you for a while, they'll realize you don't have those skills and they're not going to be interested in you. Or you're going to meet women who are just interested in money, and that will just feed into your insecurity that's already there. So success anymore isn't about P, as they say in my ends, about money. It's about the deeper aspects of being a man, emotional attunement, and so forth. Then if you want to get into that sort of work, you want to go deep into that, then Relate is for you. It's a program I'm running at the moment. It's open my doors again in April, where we Train men in these skills, these subtle skills that are valuable currencies in the world that we're living in now, and that we're definitely going to be living in as we move forward in the world. And if you don't learn them, this will be the real reason that you are single. This will be the real reason that your relationships do not work. You can find down below a link to the wait list. Until next time, ciao, ciao.